para ver o sol no avarandado do amanhecer. Rolava um som de Jorge Ben no mesmo instante em que
die for you. I said I loved you to the wrong man.
Now we're ready to start.
Moyen, mesdames, messieurs, bonjour. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are on this planet. Welcome to the Humanitarian Innovation Accelerator pitch event or demo day, depending on how you want to call it. My name is Bernard Kovac. I am director of the Global Accelerator and Ventures team at the World Food Program. It's my great pleasure to welcome you here tonight, this morning, wherever you are. So we are actually here at Luxembourg Venture Days, which is really, really exciting. Over 4,000 attendees of an event that celebrates technology, startups, investing here in Luxembourg. But at the same time, in this room and in online audiences, probably hundreds of people, including the people that are going to watch this online in recording. So a warm welcome to this event that's not only looking at challenges, but also into hope. Now, when we talk about, and this is the topic of Humanitarian Innovation Accelerator, it's about the current environment and the challenges. You saw it in the video. We're living in times when you see destabilization, crisis, natural disasters, and other global problems essentially burden communities around the world, where humanitarian response is unfortunately necessary. You know, it's the same way as you have an accident on the road and there's an ambulance picking you up. Shouldn't it be the same way that whenever there's people in need, whenever there's some of the most vulnerable people on the planet, there is an efficient way to help them and lift them out of poverty, hunger, provide primary health care, provide shelter. Like, these are the types of topics that, you know, that are basic to a lot of people in the world. Why not also making sure that we leave no one behind on the planet? Now, the crisis and problems lead to the same side on opportunities, technology, data, artificial intelligence, new solutions, mobile money, blockchain. I could go on and essentially rattle off like solution opportunities, but how do we bring these two together? And this is where the government of Luxembourg and has pioneered this way of how can we bring this together with the support of us, of the World Food Program Innovation Accelerator, but all the partners and supporters that are here in this room actually right now and online to make this happen and celebrate 8 breakthrough startups and ventures that you're gonna hear on stage, following and give you the inspiration and hopefully also some hope that some of these problems that we're talking about are actually solvable. Now, I would be remiss to say that some of the innovations and startups and breakthrough ventures that you're going to see on stage, of course, they're looking to get support. They're looking to get partnerships. They're looking to find new ways how they can be even more impactful, right? Because on this planet, we care about how can we connect those problems with the solutions and get even more impact. You're going to see AI solutions that are better serving vulnerable communities. You're going to see better financial inclusion in some of the areas of the world that you might have never thought this would be possible. Now, let me actually then switch to the esteemed part of the evening, because it's really also one of those places where we are in Luxembourg, We can be here thanks to the Government of Luxembourg, but also Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Development Cooperation. Therefore, it's my great pleasure to introduce Your Excellency, so it's Deputy Prime Minister, Minister for Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, and Minister for Development Cooperation and Humanitarian Affairs, Excellency Xavier Bettel. I'm inviting you to stage. Thank you, the stage is yours.
Dear friends, I firstly would like to say thank you to the organizer to give an opportunity also when we speak about innovation, when we speak about finances, about financing, that we don't forget also humans, and that we insist also on knowing how lucky we are. I said in my speech last year at the UNGA that in 2025, still depending of your gender, of your color, of your sexual orientation, of your religion, that you don't have the same rights, same opportunities, and same chances. That's reality. And so to bring together investors, innovators, creators, here for these venture days in Luxembourg is something I really would like to say to Lux Innovation a big thank, and to give us also an opportunity to have the topic of humanitarian aid in this field. Why it is so important? You have, as I said, some investors, and you have also some people with ideas. It's not because you are rich that you are very creative. And it's not because you are very creative that you have to be rich. So it is important to bring also people together where you are able to have the leverages also to make things possible. And believe me, my country knows what it means. And a lot of people forgot also that to be innovative makes also the success of this country. A lot of Luxembourgers forgot that this country was a poor country, and that even in the 19th century, a lot of Luxembourgers left the country because we had not enough food. And they left. And then we had steel. We became more successful, but we realized that steel wouldn't be forever. So we did satellites, we did finances, we did insurances, we did funds, and I could continue the list to be also a first mover and to be innovative. So not only the private sector, it is also important to be innovative as a public sector. And some of you may remember that, in fact, one of the biggest success of our humanitarian aid and innovation was in 2010. In 2010, there was a huge earthquake in Haiti. And it was a human tragedy, but also a dark moment in the history of humanitarian action. And so we had an idea at that moment. It was to bring together the best technologies and create a communication tool that would work in disaster zone under the toughest conditions. And that was the birth, in fact, of emergency.lu. And it's a mobile satellite, an antenna that restores communications after emergencies, helping humanitarians reconnect and coordinate it where it matters most. So for the aid, but believe me, also for the people. Not to know after a disaster is one of the most awful situations. Not to get information, not to be able to call someone, not being able to know if someone is still alive or not. And so to restore with our Luxembourg emergency.lu, I think is a fantastic success story. And I see it everywhere where we can send it, how useful it is. But since then also the world has evolved. We have learned, we have grown, and we have today more tools and more technologies than ever to act faster and also more effectively. And but it brought us an important lesson. It takes time to move from a simple idea all the way to making real-world impact. Yet when we unite technology with human creativity and also a bit of courage, we can make a positive and lasting difference. And this is what innovation is about. It is why innovation also matters. Because even in the darkest of hours, when implemented wisely and responsible, innovation can bring hope. And it can bring not only hope, it can be also a game changer. And the WFP Innovation Accelerator and Luxembourg share a common vision when it comes to the power of technology and innovations. That is also the reason why together we created Humanitarian Innovation Accelerator program to find, to support, and to scale new ideas born from real needs, turning them into solutions that make a difference for people affected by diseases or also by war. Today we celebrate the second edition of that program. We celebrate ideas that dare to dream big. You will soon hear also 8 pioneering ventures to find smart, creative solutions to today's humanitarian challenge, but we should not stop there. I think you heard about the exciting collaborations between my country and WFP Innovation Accelerator, the CERN and the Luxembourg Institute of Science and Technology, and we are harnessing also the power of AI to move faster towards a world without hunger and to make humanitarian action stronger, smarter, and more effective also everywhere. Because when it comes to innovation, Luxembourg is not afraid to show courage and to take also bold steps. As I told you, one of the maxims of my country is "Wir willen blijven wat we zijn." That means we want to stay what we are. But that doesn't mean we want to stay where we are. And to take the next innovative steps is always risky. And you know, I know exactly, when in the 80s, Pierre Werner said that he wants to start with SES. People thought that he was an old guy and he should visit a shrink. It's the same with ideas about space mining, about all the different ideas that we can launch. But the fact is that when it's a success, believe me, everybody thought it was a fantastic idea. And in fact, they were all a bit responsible for the decision. But in politics, you're not just there to get compliments. You also have responsibilities, and it's important to move on also for your country. So I would like to thank also the World Food Programme, Lux Innovation, and my own teams who made it possible to be here. I would like also to say thank you to our guest and so big thank also for the, and I just announced a race for the humanitarian support also for you. So and for me it was so important that we can work together, because as you know, as new Minister of Humanitarian Aid, I had also new rules. So for some of you, maybe you like them or you don't like them, I don't care, I'm in charge. But it's just the fact of 2 rules. One rule is that we all have to know that it's not my money or your personal money. It's taxpayers' money. So it is important that we keep the trust. We all know what a scandal can bring problems into trust. And it's in the interest of no of us that we lose the trust of the populations in humanitarian aid. The second thing is, humanitarian aid is not necessarily popular. And you will see that populists will use humanitarian aid to say that this is helping people where we have no links, where you have very often problems in your own country. And we just spoke before, and I told them the best argument you can have for populists is to use their arguments. And when we spoke about the climate change, I told them, when I say to populists, you know, if we don't work actively for climate change, today you complain about political refugees, you complain about economic refugees, but if we don't act, we will have tomorrow thousands and millions of climate refugees. And they tell me, please do more. This is terrible to have to use those kinds of arguments. And last but not least, for me, as Minister of Development, also, it's a question of trust and partnership with countries. I do not accept that also we blame now Hungary or other countries for not respecting European laws. And then with some countries where we have partnerships, we don't care about human rights. So since I'm now the new minister, I ask my team also with the partnerships and with the countries that we have, in fact, trusted partnerships. That means that we have in the conditions that if there are backlashes in rights of persons, It is a reason to come together to discuss about the future collaboration and having the right to change also some of the collaborations. This is, for example, in Afghanistan, where women are not allowed to go to school. This is possible in some countries where gender, sexual orientations, religions being disabled. I don't ask them to change the law in a more positive way. This is not my competence. And I don't want also Europeans to give the impression that we need to teach African countries. I just ask them not to go in the wrong direction. And if they go in the wrong direction, that we discuss. And I had one country who told me, we don't want you to say what we have to do. I said, I don't ask you what you have to do. I just want, if you go in the wrong direction, that we are able to discuss. And they told me, that's not your business. Give me the money, but that's all. This will be not possible with me. I'm defending rights for people in Europe where they are strong. So for me, it's also important not to forget the weakest in countries where they even have less rights than here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Excellency Deputy Prime Minister. Like, these were some inspiring words, also in terms of bold vision, and we heard it, it's about courage, and courage not just of any individual, the partners here in this room, but also innovation per se, right? And I think you're speaking true to like a lot of people here in this room that believe that humanitarian assistance needs to be efficient and effective, therefore the more we can do, the better it is. Now, innovation is about learning, innovation is about adapting, and innovation is about like bringing together the people that could actually create the most impact together. Therefore, we seize the opportunity to also say like, okay, wait a second, maybe we can bring another inspiring speaker on stage before we listen to the startups. Now, this is another great pleasure, and I want to introduce the Chief Executive Officer and Secretary General of IFRC, Jagan Chabagan. Like, the stage is yours. Please join me on stage. We are curious of what you're going to tell us from the IFRC perspective.
No, thank you so much for having me here. Thank you, Minister. That was really inspiring speech, and it was also incredible to listen to your stories. And clearly, somebody who has been in power for 12 years and is still so popular, I think it must tell something about you. So I really want to thank you for your leadership. I was just calculating how long it takes to enter this room from the gate. It just showed how popular he is, so everybody appreciates you. Thank you. Thank you for your leadership. And I really want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to share some of my thoughts, of course, from a humanitarian organization's perspective. And of course, we work very closely with WFP, and of course, we work very closely with Luxembourg. But before I start, I would also like to recognize my good friend, Michel Simonis. He's the Secretary General of the Luxembourg Red Cross here, and he basically represents the Red Cross here in the country. Thank you, Michel, for being here. Let me start my speech with a story, and it's a true story that happened. It was last year when devastating floods swept across Kenya. The Kenya Red Cross and International Center for Humanitarian Affairs deployed drones to document and map the damage of the floods. Amid the chaos, one of our volunteers, the Red Cross volunteers, drone pilots, noticed movement on the screen. And this movement was coming from a 5-year-old child, missing for 3 days, more than 72 hours, trapped in a waterlogged village, surrounded by collapsed homes and rising currents. Guided by the drone, rescuers navigated 3 kilometers of submerged terrain and saved the life of that 3-year-old child. This shows us that when innovation applied to humanitarian need, the impossible can become possible. And life of that 3-year-old child can be saved. And the happiness of that family can be returned. But innovation in humanitarian work goes far beyond a single story or a single tool. Innovation is how we reach people faster and recover stronger. Just in our case, in the IFRC, through the partnership with MasterCard, we have built secure digital payment systems that deliver cash assistance quickly and transparently. With Microsoft, we are strengthening the digital foundation of our members in 191 countries. We are also using AI-enabled early warning tools and mobile platforms, technology helping ahead of time. Technology helping people ahead of time so hazards don't become the disasters. Not every hazard becomes disasters if we can anticipate the crisis and prepare and take action beforehand. But in humanitarian work, of course, I'm speaking as a humanitarian, innovation is not about novelty. It's about what works. And above all, it's about working with people, as Minister mentioned earlier, and not just for them. It's working with people. And as I see here, that's what you are doing here in this forum. But the results of that you see of innovation, they also begin behind closed doors. Like many on the humanitarian world, those of you who are connected to the humanitarian world, we have felt the strain of global funding cuts, particularly this year. Sometimes 40 to 50% funding cuts. Then we had to stop many, many life-saving programs in different parts of the world. But instead of seeing them as a serious setback, which it is, we saw them as a wake-up call. A call to rethink how we operate, a call to transform. That's why in my organization in the IFRC, we have launched a process what we call a renewal process, an initiative designed to help us adapt to new realities. One of our key focus areas is to do things differently with less. It's not about doing more with less or less with less. That's not going to be good enough. We must learn to do things differently with less because, except Luxembourg, there is less available. I think Luxembourg, you will still maintain your big heart and generosity, and really want to thank you, Minister, and the people of Luxembourg for continuing to show that generosity. Now, doing differently with less, and for that, we need to accelerate digital transformation, and we must have the courage to embrace the ethical and responsible use of artificial intelligence. A powerful example of using innovation to tackle financial pressure is our IFRC's DREF insurance mechanism. Traditionally, as you know, the donors fund our disaster response emergency fund directly, and I know many of the ventures here, you also provide funding. And of course, those donations help this pooled fund go up. The pot goes up. But then the disasters drain it down until sometimes it runs out completely. As we respond to more and more disasters every year, sometimes the fund runs out. But with this new insurance approach, instead of just giving the donation, actually the donors can instead contribute to an insurance premium which pays out. When in a bad year, if that pot sort of runs out, if a certain threshold is reached, then the insurance kicks in. And actually last year, we managed to multiply the donors' funding by 4-fold because of this insurance mechanism. By doing that, we multiplied the value of the donor, and we also had private sector partners who were ready to share that risk. And we believe that this is the best type of innovative partnership we can do with the private sector and the humanitarian sectors coming together. Behind our IFRC draft is data to track disaster likelihoods, to develop a fair policy premium. And IFRC draft insurance is not powered by cutting-edge AI or futuristic tools, but it is dependent on background technology to make it viable, because no private sector would invest on an insurance mechanism if it is not a viable mechanism. And we rely on data and technology to make sure that we can predict and we can anticipate disasters or the trend, so that the insurance companies feel that the product we have developed together is viable. And we believe that this is the innovation at its best. Of course, we all know that the humanitarian innovation has evolved. It's no longer about top-down technology, but it's about community-driven, locally designed solutions. And to see so many startups here, I think that's when the startups bring that community, the power of community knowledge, the power of innovations that happens all around the world. And as we look ahead, one thing is clear. Every drone, every data point, every new idea is a tool. But that's all these things are. In our work, it must always begin and end with people. For us as a humanitarian organization, for you as different companies, for the government, it must end with the people, because at the end of the day, people and planet, that's two things we have. And we need to ensure that our innovations actually makes a positive difference to the life of the planet and to the life of the people. And when people and planet can live in harmony, that's when we will have a good future, a happy future for us and for the future generation to come. And that's the question we apply to everyday technological or data-driven innovation. Every new tool, we ask the question, does it help people? Does it help planet? Because trust, equality, and partnerships, are the foundations of meaningful progress. Colleagues, going back to that earlier story, that one drone saved one child in Kenya. But it also showed us something bigger, that when technology solves humanity, there is no limit to the change we can make together. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I mean, these were also like another set of inspirational and actually like truth to like the ground truthing of the perspective of like why innovation is relevant, why it's happening right now, and why innovation is making impossible possible. Now, what is going to come next? Who in the audience paid attention? Of course, we're here because of the Humanitarian Innovations and Ventures. So it's my great pleasure to now introduce my colleague, Michelle Joseph, who is going to guide you through the rest of the evening. Michelle, over to you.
Thank you so much, Bernard, for that introduction. As he said, my name is Michelle Joseph. I'm the program lead for the Humanitarian Innovation Accelerator, or HIA, as I'll say moving forward. And it's amazing to see that we have a full room tonight. Many thanks again to our distinguished speakers and leaders for really setting the tone and the inspiring words. Before we start off with the pictures and hearing about their amazing work, I wanted to just take a moment to deep dive into HIA and what we have been doing over the past few years. So the aim of HIA is to source, support, and scale bold tech innovations together with our innovators, collaborators, and humanitarian actors, with the ultimate goal to transform communities and better prepare, respond, and recover from crises. It's with that vision that we structured Haya around 4 main challenge areas, including bridging information gaps, enabling financial inclusion, strengthening essential infrastructure, and enhancing humanitarian response through data and technology. So you will hear from ventures tonight innovating across these areas. Now, we actually launched Haya back in 2023, and at the time, we invited 16 of those ventures to our platform, and with our support, we offered grant funding and support for them to implement their projects around the world, whether their sprint projects focused on product development, whether it was to expand to a new country or market, or offer new services. I'm happy to say that 8 of those ventures and companies who are now alumni are actually in the room with us today. I don't mean them to put them on the spot, but maybe you can raise your hand so we can see where you are, and also give you a round of applause because it all started with you. And our first cohort of ventures, these alumni, they actually implemented their projects with our support in 6 countries worldwide. This included Senegal, Kenya, Uganda, Somalia, Libya, and Jordan. Their innovations were adopted by 15 humanitarian organizations and 3 country governments, just to name a few: Mercy Corps, Red Cross, the Government of Uganda, the International Organization Migration, and more. And collectively, in addition to the funding received through Haya, they received over 1 million of additional co-funding to continue to scale their innovations beyond our financial support. With these new products and innovations, they've actually already supported and served 260,000 beneficiaries in just over a year, and we expect this number to actually continue to grow. So now, on to the ventures who we'll hear from tonight, our second cohort. They were selected through a competitive process where we received over 600 applications worldwide, and ultimately, 8 of them were selected. So they're working all over the world, all the way from Nepal to Ecuador, leveraging technologies such as artificial intelligence, drones, various digital platforms, Internet of Things, and more. So when I say Haya platform, which you'll hear or probably heard already a few times tonight, just to say a little bit more by what I mean. So Haya is structured around an innovation cycle. We start off first by discovering the most pressing challenges and prioritizing the ones that matter the most. We mobilize resources and select the solutions, the innovators who you'll hear from today, and we catalyze meaningful connections between problem owners and solution providers, which we'll have the opportunity to do later on in the marketplace, and ultimately supporting these ventures to accelerate on their path to scale. And finally, we create and enable thriving ecosystems to support these ventures to continue to grow. Our ventures receive access to hands-on support, expertise, and global networks, funding, and of course, visibility opportunities like the opportunity they have on stage tonight. So, what's on for our agenda tonight? Well, we'll start off with first 4 pitches that you'll hear from first. Then we'll take a brief recess to hear from our AI strategic panel, who will talk about how they're harvesting AI in the field to address humanitarian challenges. And then we'll move on to our final round of 4 pitches. And after that, we'll go to closing remarks, and you can continue the conversation to the left in our marketplace over food and drinks. So let's get started. We'll start, as I said, with our first 4 pitches. Each venture will come up on stage for 3 minutes. As they're speaking, of course, you'll be listening to their solution, but I also ask you to listen closely because maybe they're speaking to you when they're talking about their ask. So we're ultimately here to help these ventures innovate faster and create greater impact, whether that be through funding, new partnerships, or mentorship and guidance. So with that, we'll kick off first with talking about bridging information gaps. Now, when I'm talking about information gaps, we're really talking about improving resilient connectivity as well as clear communication channels, which are paramount for aid delivery as well as empowering communities. Now with that, I'd like to invite our first pitcher to the stage, Imogen McRoberts, who's representing Tarjimli.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. As Michelle said, my name's Imogen, and I'm from the tech nonprofit Tarjimli. My journey with language barriers began in northern Greece, supporting displaced people. They had reached safety, but a final critical barrier remained: the inability to communicate. What if the words on this page were the instructions to keep you alive, but the only way to survive was to be able to read this language? Think about that for a moment, because that's the daily reality for millions of displaced people across the world. Today, there's 123 million displaced people, and almost half of all refugees cannot communicate with the people trying to support them. Tarjimli means translate for me. We're a platform that connects a humanitarian or refugee with a human interpreter on demand. We're a bit like Uber for interpretation. I first discovered Tarjimli in Greece, and I can tell you the relief was profound. Suddenly, I could ask critical questions and understand the answers to things like, when did you last eat? Are you in pain? Do your family know you are safe? There was no more guessing. There was no more risking confidentiality using untrained community members. There was no more using children to relay a family's needs. There was no more undue stress or trauma, and no more mistakes. If AI struggles with common languages like Spanish or French, imagine the critical errors it can make with less commonly spoken languages like Lingala or Rohingya. Tarjimli guarantees accuracy and cultural nuance because there's always a human in the loop. My experience with Tarjimli was so good that I joined Tarjimli's mission to help amplify that change for others. And our impact speaks for itself. So far, we've helped over 700,000 people around the world access education, healthcare, legal protection, even jobs, so they can rebuild their lives. We've supported 1,450 organizations and leveraged a community of incredible volunteers, 67,000 volunteer interpreters, many of whom are refugees themselves. We combine their expertise with our technology designed for the humanitarian context. Historically, we've worked with resettlement agencies in the US and Europe, but now we're scaling. Our first strategic focus is Uganda, a nation hosting over 1.7 million refugees. This will be our blueprint for scaling across the entire African continent. With a philanthropic investment of $300,000 US from foundations or CSRs, we can ensure that 100,000 people are no longer left out of society simply because of language. This is not charity, it's dignity, agency, and survival. I know this impact is real. I saw it from the front lines. It's why I joined Tarjimli's mission, and today I'm inviting you to join it too, because fundamentally, no one should die while they're trying to make themselves understood. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Imogen, for that inspiring start. So Tarjimli is an AI-powered app that is already connecting people to a global network of 67,000 translators worldwide. This is helping ensuring that language is never a barrier to access services for over 700,000 people. Up next, I'd like to now invite to the stage Shavel Shajaru, founder of Wayru. Come on up, Shavel.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. I'd like to introduce you to Desiree, but first let me ask you a question. When was the last day that you went a full day without internet access? No socials, no banking, no connection. For Desiree, a Venezuelan refugee in Ecuador, that's her daily reality. She can't work, she can't study, she can't reconnect with her family. For 2 years, she was disconnected. Her reality is the reality of over 3 billion people worldwide who are physically present but digitally disconnected. To help solve this, we created Wayru, a self-sustaining internet network built using blockchain technology and designed to break the cycle of disconnection. We bring high-speed internet to underserved areas and distribute it with our long-range routers. Access is always free with the premium option available for a minimum fee. Every transaction turns into Wayru tokens, which are used to pay operators to keep the network up and running. Once the network is deployed, no more subsidies or donations are required. This isn't just an idea. We've already proven the model works in Ecuador. We've connected over 2,000 people in one of the most vulnerable locations in the country called Monte Sinaí with only 20 Wi-Fi hotspots. In Juan Montalvo, with the help of the UNHCR and the Duke of Luxembourg, we connect 5,000 refugees every day through only 40 Wi-Fi zones. We bring real-world impact where it's mostly needed. Wayru creates measurable socio-economic impact aligned with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Every hotspot empowers access to education, access to remote work, deploys affordable infrastructure, reduces inequalities, and empowers partnerships between global institutions and local communities. We need your help to expand access and bring internet to thousands of people in 2 remote communities in Ecuador. Remember Desiree? Well, she reconnected with her family, she promotes her food business online, and she even went back to study through online courses. Wayru didn't just give Desiree access to internet, it gave her a new life. So, if you and I have the right to be connected every day, why shouldn't Desiree? Why shouldn't billions like her? Again, my name is Charvet Chedraui. I'm the CEO and founder of Wayru. Join me to build a more connected world where nobody is left behind. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Charvel, for that speech. So, Wayru's blockchain-powered Wi-Fi network is building a resilient, low-cost model connecting thousands of people daily to the internet. We'll now move to our next challenge area, financial inclusion. When we're talking about enabling financial inclusion, we're talking about an increase of ensuring that communities that are not connected to traditional banking environments and services can still have access to finance based off of different solutions that we'll present with you today. So with that, I now am excited to ask Margaret Gutierrez Vargas to please come up on the stage. She is the founder and CEO of Avance.
Thank you, Michelle. Hi, I am Colombo, Venezuela. When I too returned to my country after 15 years, I struggled to access credit in the financial system. But I was not the only. It's worth for millions of migrants that can just use cash. But this is not the solution. Although humanitarian aid programs look positive impact, there is no clear way to track it. And the help doesn't always reach the people in need. We deliver aid in a more respectful, dignified, efficient, and useful way. Sometimes families receive rice, but what they really need is a baby diapers. During the pandemic, it became clear about 72% of all humanitarian aid couldn't be traced. Our fintech transform traditional humanitarian aid into digital. We connect beneficiaries to safe and easy financial tools like debit and prepaid cards and digital wallet or Visa or MasterCard. This digital model reduces cash use, prevents fraud, and ensures every dollar reach the right person in the right time. For donors and NGOs and government, it means full transparency. They can track funds, make better decisions, and set help faster. And for migrants, refugees, and caregivers, it means access, dignity, and financial independence. With Visa Direct and MasterCard Send, we will make global aid instant, secure, and impactful. We can deliver monetary aid in real time for crisis. Beneficiaries in crisis can receive 24/7 help and spend it however they need. We work with NGOs and governments to transfer money to migrants in Colombia, Ecuador, and Peru. Over 20,000 people get financial access with us. 66% of them are migrants, and 56% are women. We process more than 30,000 transactions for $1 million with zero fraud. We are seeking 1 million pre-seed, capital, grants, and partners to expand into 5 new countries over the next 5 years. We mobilize over 20 million in aid and reach more, 1 million people. We can give families the power to stand on their own, not just to survive, but to be independent and strong. Thank you.
So as McGrath said, Avant is enabling emergency cash delivery using a mobile-first money wallet. So instead of taking weeks to deliver cash, they're able to do this within 24 hours. Now we're moving on to our last pitch before we take a pause for our panel. And now I'd like to invite Shema Steve, founder and CEO of Axis, to talk about SafeScore. Shema, over to you.
Hi, everybody. I've been given one task, which is to convince you. So I'm going to try. And to get us started, if you're going to be convinced, at least to help me in my task, would you mind, guys, clapping once? Come on, we could do better than that. Once. There you go. So let's get started. I hope I convinced you. So back where I'm from, we use this picture as a meme. It's a meme that represents disappointment, skepticism, hopelessness, you name it. In Rwanda, we work in 5 refugee camps. We work with people that are forming informal savings groups to be able to access capital because they can't access formal financial services. Now, most of them, because they live in remote area, they resort to those physical cash boxes. This is where they put their money. Now, that phase comes in when they're told they've lost their money. The cash box has been stolen or it's just disappeared. And that's the reaction they have on their faces. So we saw it and said, you know what, let's change that. So the phase changes now. And the phase changes when they start using our platform, which is save and digitizes their savings, makes it simple, transparent, and even more secure. Introducing Save. Save is a digital platform that's used by informal savings groups in refugee camps. It allows these groups to be able to save in a much more secure way. But even more to that, we score these groups. Besides them mobilizing their savings, using our proprietary scoring engine, we are helping them to build the credit profiles. These credit profiles, they use it to even access more capital. They don't need a smartphone to use our app. They can just use a feature phone, which is USSD technology. We also rely heavily on agents that we work with in the communities to help us reach out to these people. We have traction in Rwanda. We are serving over 200,000 people in these 5 refugee camps, working with over 2,000 agents, and we are post-revenue. This is the impact we've achieved in Rwanda, from allowing them to access green finance, where they're able to access more capital to grow their small businesses, to adopting climate-smart agricultural practices. And we want to grow this impact. We want to grow it starting with Uganda next year. And after next year, we want to grow in Tanzania, Kenya, and Ethiopia. We're currently looking for money. We are raising to really be able to expand this impact in all those countries. And as I told you when I started, the goal here is to convince you, investor, philanthropist, partner, you name it. We have a growing list of partners, and we want you to be on that list. So I hope I have convinced you. And I want you guys to join us as we impact and grow this impact in over thousands of refugees in Rwanda and across sub-Saharan Africa. Thank you very much.
Now, SaveScore's traction already is simply amazing. They're reaching 250,000 users already in Rwanda. So this is the end of our first half of pitches. We'll actually now set up the stage for our panel that's coming up next. And so just imagine the curtain has closed and you can't see my team coming up on stage, and we'll get started in a few minutes. Thank you. You can stand already here. All right. We've been trying something the last days as we've held workshops before tonight. So if you can hear me, if you can just put your arm up if you can hear me and see me. Great. So that means we're ready to get started. So we're very pleased to have this opportunity to showcase the AI Strategic Partnership for Humanitarian Actions, to hear more how we're bridging partnerships and translating science into real-world scenarios. So first, I'd like to invite to the stage our panel moderator, George Fernandez, who's the head of Frontiers at the UN WFP Innovation Accelerator. Alberto Di Meglio, IT Strategy and Innovation Head at the European Organization for Nuclear Research. Alberto, welcome. Stacy Rodriguez, Humanitarian Action Desk at the Luxembourg Ministry of European and Foreign Affairs. Come up on stage. And last but not least, Lucienne Hoffman, Science Director at the Luxembourg Institute of Science and Technology. Over to you, George. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening also from our side. We'll have to keep it a little bit brief because of the time already, but we wanted to share with you the power of unconventional partnerships. When organizations are very different settings, different backgrounds, but that share the same values, humanitarian principles, that believe in the value and impact of open science and technology to drive impact for those that need it the most and what we can achieve together. So from that point of view, what started off as a simple dinner conversation with Alberto, myself, and a few others in Rome turned out to this partnership that really tries to bring the best of the comparative skills and complementarities that we bring together. So we hope to show to you in the next 15, 20 minutes how much we have achieved already from that earlier beginning around the dinner table, as many of the best ideas in the world emerge. But it was all about doing things differently, playing to the strengths and the knowledge of each partner. So let me start maybe with you, Stacy, because it is very important to think about what can we achieve with strategic investments to deploy technologies like artificial intelligence, data, to support humanitarian action when it's needed the most. What was the original thinking and rationale for the Government of Luxembourg to support us on this endeavor?
Thank you very much, George. So maybe first, I think this partnership really started from a simple but yet powerful idea, which was to use new and emerging technologies for global good, for greater good, but also to make humanitarian action more effective. And as you said, it started quite organically through a mutual contact that WFP colleagues and CERN colleagues had, and really presenting this idea of using artificial intelligence for humanitarian action. And so we had a look at it. We really saw the potential of this partnership, and we started thinking, how can we really be engaged in this partnership beyond, of course, the financial support. And so this was also where the Luxembourg Institute came in. But maybe to really fully answer your question, I think it's important to really illustrate the actual uniqueness of this partnership, which is how it actually brings together stakeholders from very different worlds: technology, science, and the humanitarian action. And so, for instance, let's take CERN. I think that most people here in the room, when we speak about CERN, they would probably think about the particle accelerator or about you as the inventors of the World Wide Web, but not necessarily as being part of the humanitarian action realm. But I think that this interconnection of expertise is exactly what makes this partnership so unique, and is also what brought Luxembourg to believe in this kind of partnerships, especially because it just shows what becomes possible if we pool our strengths. And I think that in the current landscape that we are facing, we see such partnerships not only as being inspiring, but most importantly as being necessary.
Oh, thank you so much, Stacy, not only for this well-said introduction, but also for the strategic investment in this collaboration. But that was a great segue to Alberto, so that you can tell us a little bit about CERN's spread of work across many scientific areas, but also the motivation to participate in this partnership in really bringing the technologies and the knowledge that is being created there for the service of humanity, in this case also those communities that need it the most.
Thank you, George. Stacy, for the good description of CERN. Hello, everybody. Yeah, indeed, I fully understand that sometimes CERN is not really seen as a humanitarian actor, and this is, of course, understandable. But CERN has a tradition of innovation and creation of technology, not only science. Our main mission is, of course, science. But on one hand, CERN is a multinational, publicly funded organization. And on the other hand, as scientists, we feel strongly the responsibility of doing science and technology not only for the sake of science and technology, but also to produce return on investment and impact on industry and society. So CERN traditionally, beside the standard scientific and technological program, has a number of programs and mechanisms to actually partner with international organizations, other research institutes, humanitarian actions actors, medical applications actors, to do this translation of technology and science from fundamental science to applications. And this is what after this nice dinner conversation that George mentioned in Rome, really pushed us to understand how to do this together. Sometimes the scientists tend to not only to solve problems, but to look for new problems to solve. And of course, by partnering with actors who have immediate problems to solve, very critical actions to do, and working together, we put together different perspectives, and we can find a middle ground where this kind of innovation meet a real-world problem, and together we can deliver in a reasonable amount of time solutions for these problems in a way that we couldn't do absolutely by working alone or by ourselves. So very interesting partnership, and it's a model that we really like to work with.
Thank you so much, Alberto. And indeed, what we also realized from the beginning is that this was not just limited to the two of us or the three of us, but we also need applied science and technology expertise in some of the areas and the use cases, and we'll come to that in a minute. And that very quickly brought us to LIST, the Luxembourg Institute Science of Technology, not only because that was a way to leverage the existing ecosystem, but because of the uniqueness of the capabilities in Earth observation, AI, and some of the things that we're working on. And that brings us to you, Lucien. Can you tell us a little bit about the Institute itself, but also the motivation and what brings you to this partnership?
Yeah, so LIST is the Luxembourg Institute of Science and Technology, and its mission is really to do impact-driven research, to bring research results to real applications, to develop tools, solutions that have a real impact on society or for companies, and to address, of course, the societal challenges we are facing, to develop tools, solutions towards a sustainable and resilient society. And one of the technologies where we have really a very big international standing is to use Earth observation data, especially linked to disaster management, and linking this, of course, more and more also with artificial intelligence to extract relevant information to manage the whole cycle of disasters.
Oh, thank you so much. And that actually brings us to the various use cases that we have, because one thing that we took a lot of time in preparing was to define the clear scope so that we would have tangible results over the 2 years of these collaborations. So we defined 3 main pillars for that. One around damage assessment, and that we have a platform with several use cases there, from leveraging radar imagery with AI for building damage assessment, to also crop yield early estimation and the impact that it can have on food security forecasting, but also looking at the topic of trust and assurance. How can we leverage anomaly detection capabilities of CERN to identity management, registration, but also transactions, and we heard one of the pitches talking about the importance of that as well. But also, how can we leverage each other's data in a way that builds actually trust, benefiting from technologies that CERN is developing around federated learning and so on. So I would like to unpack a little bit these use cases a little bit more, and maybe starting again with you, Alberto, if you could tell us about some of the work that is being done in the collaboration, both around the anomaly detection as well as the federated learning that we will deploy going forward as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So as I mentioned in the beginning, the main idea for CERN is to transfer the technology that we develop for scientific application into this kind of real-world scenarios. So in the collaboration, we are working on 3 different use cases, 3 different applications. One is the development of foundation models for climate modeling. This is we are using technologies that has been developed to understand better the complex dynamics of particle physics into improving the way the forecasting of extreme weather phenomenon can be accelerated. And this is to support the prediction and the effect of this kind of weather phenomena on building damage, of crop damage, and to move more from a reactive behavior more to anticipatory actions. If we can model the weather in a more efficient way and model the damages on crop more efficiently, then maybe we can prepare for this by mobilizing resources. So this is one of is the first contribution. The second is anomaly detection. We use a lot of anomaly detection for physics, for detecting rare events in the collisions, for data quality monitoring, for infrastructure monitoring. And by adapting these algorithms to the WFP cash-based transaction mechanisms, we are helping in optimizing the transaction, finding anomalies, which can be human errors, but can be, for example, misuse of the cash transactions, and therefore not only saving cost, but also using the saves for helping more people and expanding the support possibilities. And the third is federated learning. Federated learning platform is a very clever technology that was born from the engineering work at CERN on the control system, cryogenic system for the accelerators, which today can be used for training complex artificial intelligence models on distributed data, respecting privacy and confidentiality constraints. So instead of moving data into a single place and then analyzing the data there, we can leave the data where it is and then move the calculations in the different places and bring back the results, which more than going around the data privacy, supports the data privacy schemes, but preserving the power of artificial intelligence in the finding better and faster results for the application. So all three technologies come from the research that CERN is doing, but we have found a very nice use case in the applications in working with WFP, Luxembourg, and LIST. So very, very exciting, very proud.
No, thank you about that. And we heard about the importance of trust also this morning, earlier this afternoon by the words of the minister, but also the Secretary General of IFRC. And this is really key for us at WFP as well, that we can showcase how this impacts the people that we support at the end of the day in the most efficient but also trustworthy way. Lucian, looking at LIST and some of the use cases that we are working on together, what can you tell us about the work that we're doing on damage assessment, crop yield estimate, and so forth?
Yeah, so today we are really in a situation where we have more and more data coming from satellite. We can have almost a picture on every spot of the Earth at a very high spatial resolution, so we can really provide also really geospatial intelligence also to support humanitarian aid activities. And in this project, we have selected three use cases which are very important for the local populations, but also to manage humanitarian aid. The first one is on prediction of crop yield. Of course, crop yield is very important to feed the local population, and if the forecast of crop yield is very bad, then of course you can act very fast to take the necessary actions to avoid food security issues in that area. A second one is linked to a built environment, let's say to urban environment, where, for example, if you have an earthquake where many buildings are destroyed, you need to have very rapidly a map where what is the extent of the destruction, where, in which area are the damages, especially to, of course, the direct relief teams, and to support local populations as fast as possible. The third topic on which we work is to forecast, let's say, and to see what is the impact of extreme events in different areas, so that you can forecast, well, in that area there will be big floods or other big events, so that again you have as early enough information so that you can plan the humanitarian aid interventions in time, of course in support of the local populations and also livestock.
Oh, thank you. And these examples show also how we are trying to anticipate more and more crises so that we can conduct anticipatory action and definitely ensure that we are as prepared as we can. We pre-position assistance as efficiently and effectively so that we can minimize human suffering and economic downfall as well. But maybe, Stacy, to you as well, why do you think these are valuable use cases, not only for WFP, but for the wider humanitarian sector, as we were discussing also earlier today? And how do you see the collaboration, the partnership going forward and being expanded into the future as well?
Thank you very much, George. I think that going forward, this partnership can really set a precedent for longer-term collaboration on not only the development, but also the application of artificial intelligence in humanitarian action. And maybe as the proverb goes, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And I think that this is exactly what we are doing with this partnership. It's really collaborating, working together around use cases that, as you said, have an impact or can have an impact not only for WFP operations, but for the humanitarian sector as a whole. And I think that this is really what makes it super valuable, and also why we think that we have started the four of us, but maybe also going forward, and for people who are potentially here and feel inspired by this, do reach out, let's talk, let's maybe also learn from each other. I think there is a lot out there where we can really collaborate together, break some silos, and I really learn from each other.
Thank you for that. Indeed, we are at the phase where we can start sharing some of the first models and have other users benefiting from it, helping us to gain confidence on those same models by training them with further data as well. But maybe this time the other way around. Lucien, over to you in terms of what would be some key takeaway, key lesson learned, but also message for the future as we look into moving to the second year of this partnership.
Well, I think one of the operational messages is that the availability of data. So this, of course, projects take place in areas where the data sources are not so abundant, let's say, as in developed countries. And so that's really a challenge to have the data to do the job. But on the other hand, with Earth observation, we have the data freely available. It's more, let's say, the societal data, the economic data that make sometimes things more difficult. And I think we are now at the stage where we have the first MVPs, so we can demonstrate now the feasibility of some of the tools that we have developed. And now we need to create some kind of a community around this to build the community around it, to share the tool, to build awareness around the tool, and also maybe link up with other agencies where they also can profit from this type of information for planning their humanitarian aid interventions.
Thank you so much, Lucien. Very, very important message right there. Alberto, also from you, what would you highlight from the journey so far, and what would you really like to see, us collectively together with others achieving going forward?
I mean, I can only reassess what Lucien just said. I mean, it looks like we are in the same project. There are two main aspects. One is really data and data governance. So there is an amazing amount of data available everywhere across the world. Apart from the quality, the problem more than availability is accessibility of data. And actually, we have started this project to produce mechanisms that allow more better accessibility and the possibility of working on data with respect of privacy and confidentiality. But we ourselves, within the project, we have been hit immediately by all the barriers that today still exist in the data governance mechanism. So working on data governance is certainly part of this project, but it's a general problem, a general challenge that needs to be assessed quickly. This is one. And the second, yeah, I mean, we had an amazing year of setting up the technology, knowing each other. We are a bit unconventional, as you said. We needed to learn how to work together. We have the very first very interesting results. And now the time has come to call for action, to encourage other people to work with us, build a community of users, of helpers, of contributors, and really produce the impact that the project is expected. So, one more year to go, very interesting and very challenging. We need help, please join us.
No, thank you for that. And it's important also to remember all the time, why are we doing this and who are we doing it for? And one important message we heard earlier today is people are at the beginning, but also at the end of the journey. And as much as we talk about some of the other constraints and the impact and possibilities that technology enables, it is there so that we can serve these people differently, but giving them the center stage of what we're achieving together. But also there is another community, which is indeed the fellow humanitarians that can really benefit from the work that we're doing, but contribute to it as well, because we can learn from many of you as well. So I think we would leave you with that message today. Thank you so much for your time and attention. If you want to chime in, reach out. We would be gladly, let's say, inviting others to test our technology, to give us feedback and contribute on the way forward. So thank you so much. Michel, over to you again.
Great, thank you so much, George. Thank you, Stacy, Alberto, and Lucien. It's really amazing to see how you're all bringing the different capabilities and leadership around AI for an important initiative. Again, curtains are closed, so just ignore. And we'll get started with our next round of pitches. So I think we are ready. Let's get back into it. So actually, we'll start off with deep diving into the topic of strengthening essential infrastructure. In humanitarian settings, limited access to things like safe water, energy, and sanitation can really keep communities from thriving. I'd like to now invite to the stage Donato Patrasi from Clara Water, president and co-founder. Up to the stage.
Thank you. In sub-Saharan Africa, 2 out of 3 people do not drink safely managed water. Especially in rural areas, families rarely drink straight from a household tap. Instead, they collect water with these dirty jerrycans, only for it to be recontaminated before it's consumed, leading to cholera and diarrheal diseases affecting especially children under 5. This is because the current manual disinfection practices are costly, unreliable, and difficult to monitor. Now, imagine delivering a continuous supply of safe water using just 3 things you have already used this morning: table salt, solar energy, and mobile network. This is exactly how Clara operates: on-site electrochlorination that converts table salt and sunshine into clean water tracked in real time. Over the past 2 years, we have deployed Clara units across Madagascar, Ethiopia, and Kenya, partnering with international NGOs and local government, cutting their operational expenses by over 90%. Today, we have cumulated data and field experience to prove that the model works, technically and financially, and that the health impact of chlorine presence at household level is real. Our next step is to scale through water kiosks and water utilities that can recover the full cost of the device in less than 1.5 years by selling reliable and affordable safe water. We are creating a market-based solutions that will ensure that water quality and continuous operation strengthened by blockchain validation. This independent of donor grants, thanks to token-based fractional ownership. This approach lets us expand serving millions of people, reaching new markets and geographies, while cutting carbon emissions from boiling water and creating new local jobs. After having secured $2 million in grants for R&D and business development, we are now raising an additional $2 million in co-investment and strategic partnerships to scale to commercial deployment. The funds will be used to decrease manufacturing costs, to expand our production capacity, and to launch our water as a service model, powered by water and carbon credit financing. The investment will enable mass production, lowering our capex by 80%, and ensuring that each Clara unit will be deployed consistently with high quality and smart features. Together, we can turn a simple pinch of salt and a ray of sunshine into clean water for each family and measurable climate benefits. Safe water should never be a privilege. With Clara, it isn't. Thank you.
I really like that tagline, just a simple pinch of salt. It's such a really smart, low-cost model. And already Clara Water is reaching 70,000 people so far. So we are now arriving to our final challenge area, and a really important one, enhancing humanitarian response and data and technology. Humanitarian stakeholders need access to fast, reliable data. This will help enhance access to resources, allocate resources effectively, and respond quicker and faster. So up first, to dive into the topic, I'd like to invite Ayush Baskoda, Project Manager Officer at the Asian Institute of Technology, representing the Krista platform. Ayush, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you very much. I'd like to take this opportunity to take you 7,000 kilometers to the east, to another landlocked country, Nepal. Every year, Nepal's monsoon brings rains, floods, and landslides, wiping away roads, power lines, and water supply systems. For millions of people, including me, this means losing connectivity to markets, schools, and hospitals, halted businesses, and health risks. When hazard strikes, every second matters. Authorities must quickly locate the incident, understand its impact, and decide what resources to deploy. But in remote parts of Nepal, in absence of reliable and timely data, response is delayed, resources are misallocated, and incidents turn into crisis. More importantly, the affected communities have limited ways to seek help or obtain information. We created Krista to fill this void. Community members use our mobile application to report the location and scale of hazard incidents and damages. These real-time reports make their way to a dashboard, helping authorities monitor and detect incidents faster, assess the impacts and need, activate their emergency response plans, and allocate required resources. The system also allows authorities to send alerts back to the people. This way, an incident reported by one villager ripples across the whole community, warning families to avoid dangerous routes and helping farmers plan market movement. Beyond immediate response, Krista creates a digital map of hazard hotspots and vulnerable people and assets, supporting long-term planning and risk mitigation. Our idea is already generating impact. We piloted Krista across 4 municipalities in Nepal, reached more than 400 users, and benefited about 100,000 people. Communities now have a direct channel to report incidents. Local authorities report better data availability for faster decision-making in mobilizing emergency response, and the alerts are helping people become better prepared. Our by the community, for the community approach is working, and it's strengthening collective action for adaptation and resilience building. In the next 2 years, we are looking to expand our operations in Nepal to reach more than 3,000 users and benefit about 500,000 people. We're also ready to implement Krista in Laos, in Southeast Asia, where the people and governments face similar challenges. Here today, we are seeking your partnership and support to create impact at scale. If you are a humanitarian agency, Our data and services can help you deliver faster, smarter, and more effective response. If you are a philanthropic organization, your investment can help bring Krista to the most vulnerable, creating transformative social impact. Let's work together to build resilience that is locally led, inclusive, and sustainable. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ayush. It's so critical to get the right information to local authorities. Krista's platform is using real-time community reports to enhance government's response and preparedness. Great. So now, I'd like to invite to the stage next Catherine Swanson from Kobo Toolbox to talk about how they're using AI to scale up their work. Over to you, Catherine.
Thanks, Michelle. How do you help a field team trace Ebola infections or misinformation in real time as an outbreak unfolds? How do you help a local caseworker safely ask questions when there's a case of suspected abuse, when there's a kid involved, without re-traumatizing them? These aren't hypotheticals. These are real challenges our partners face every day as they seek to meet needs in the world's most pressing crises. Solving them requires the right data at the right time. Tragically, for those on the ground, they often don't have the resources and tools they need to get the data they require. For over a decade, Kobo has powered the shift from paper to digital, helping over 32,000 humanitarian organizations collect over 1 billion responses worldwide. What we've learned over the course of that time is that asking the right question is incredibly important, but formulating it can be really complex. You need to have local context, ethical safeguards, and specialized knowledge to get it right. That expertise is often lacking when the clock is ticking and funding shrinks. That is why we are building KoboToolbox.ai, a next-generation tool to help power humanitarian intelligence for those that are on the ground. It brings together the knowledge that's usually scattered across different roles, disciplines, geographies, even country offices, and centralizes it in one place and helps make it be accessible and at people's fingertips right when they need it in the field. With this new tool, teams can design surveys that are excellent, they're efficient, they're ethical. They can make sure that their surveys have been designed using validated question banks, and they can have flags for methodological risks, ethical risks. They can even check it against culturally appropriate phrasing. So in an Ebola outbreak, this looks like a field response team able to quickly deploy a survey, get results back, and understand where infections are trending, and deliver treatment. With a local caseworker, they can ask a safe, age-appropriate question to get at the heart of what is going on. A 6-year-old is really different than a 15-year-old. You need a different question there. So, how do we make this a reality? Ambitious dreams have ambitious asks. We are seeking $1 million over the next 3 years to co-design KoboToolbox.ai with partners in Ethiopia and Colombia. And then we're going to bring it to 120,000 organizations worldwide, effectively quadrupling our footprint across the peace, development, and humanitarian sectors. What we've learned in our 10 years is that good data is not a dashboard. It is food, it is medicine, it is protection, it is tangible. Good data saves lives. With this new tool, humanitarians can focus on saving lives, not building forms. Please join us as we build the next generation of humanitarian intelligence and invest in our tool with KoboToolbox.ai. Thank you.
So Kobo Toolbox is using ethical AI to enhance and automate survey design and survey analysis. They're distributing this new tool to their already vast network of thousands of humanitarian organizations to ensure they're focusing their efforts where it matters the most. Hang tight, we are at our final pitch. And our final pitcher is addressing what is a huge threat to life, food security, and post-conflict recovery at large. Please welcome to the stage Dr. Jasper Bauer from SafePro AI.
At SafePro AI, our mission is to detect mines and save lives. In this image, there's a rocket. This is a drone image from eastern Ukraine. This rocket is embedded among a sunflower field. This is only one of 110 million landmines and explosive remains of war found around the world. These explosive hazards cause over 5,000 injuries and deaths a year, stifle economic growth, and restrict freedom of movement, access to food and water. Since the 2022 full-scale invasion of Ukraine, Ukraine has become the most contaminated country in the world. 134,000 square kilometers, or around 30% of their country, is contaminated with landmines and unexploded ordnance. We are revolutionizing landmine detection using drones and AI. Drones have an amazing ability to survey very large areas in not a lot of time. We've trained a very specific AI model on hundreds of thousands of real-world examples that systematically scans every pixel to understand where the landmines are in the drone images. This methodology is proven to make mine detection 5.5 times faster, safer, cheaper, and it even improves the accuracy. The process is simple. A humanitarian nonprofit or deminer flies a drone over an area that has some kind of explosive contamination. They then take that data and upload it to our web application, Spotlight AI. And this is where the magic happens. Spotlight takes those images and stitches them together into these maps. And it runs each image through our AI model to find where the landmines are. The result are maps with centimeter scale coordinates of where the landmines exist in each survey. The core capability is we find the needle in the haystack. This is another drone image from Ukraine. In this image, there's a PFM-1. PFM-1 is an anti-personnel mine around the size of my hand. Our AI model is able to extract and detect this object in only 0.2 seconds. This is only one of over 1,000 images in the survey, and you can imagine the scale of the problem. There are a few other detections to the right. This methodology is proven in the field. We have over 37,000 confirmed landmines and UXOs detected by our nonprofit partners. That's 10,700 plus hectares mapped and 2 million images processed to date. Spotlight is actively used by humanitarian demining organizations such as Norwegian People's Aid, Halo Trust, UN Development Program, and FSD. We're ready to scale globally. There are over 60 countries and regions around the world that are contaminated with explosive remains of war. We're looking for partners and investors to bring Spotlight AI to new regions and help make the world a safer place to step. Thank you.
SafePro's AI ability to survey vast amounts of contaminated lands is just incredible, with almost 40,000 detections already. We've now concluded our pitches. I'd like everyone to give another round of applause to all the ventures, the pitchers that came up on stage today. It is not an easy feat at all. So for those who have joined us online, we will wrap up our pitch portion very shortly. Before we do that, first, of course, I'd like to thank everyone who had a hand in making this event happen. All of the team, it's of course not just me, the WFP team, the Lux Innovation for allowing us to be a part of Venture Days, and of course, it wouldn't be without the amazing partnership with the Government of Luxembourg, and the continued expansion of the HIA platform is possible because of you, so thank you very much for that. And with that, I will ask everyone who is in person to please join us, to please continue the conversation at the marketplace. We'll have drinks, we'll have food, so we get to the fun part. Again, those online, thank you again for joining us. And as you all move to the left, or my left, I'd like to ask the WFP team, the Government of Luxembourg, HIA 1.0 Ventures, HIA 2.0 Ventures, Everyone, Lux Innovation, if you are here, to also join us on stage for a photo, and everyone else, we'll see you in a few minutes. Thank you so much, and have a great rest of the night. Thank you. Hey. Thank you. On to the stage. Photo time.